On a quiet spring morning in 2009, the town of Crestwood, Oregon, woke up to the kind of fear it had only seen in movies. Elise Morgan, a bright 22-year-old nursing student, vanished without a trace. No struggle, no note, just an empty room, and a whole town left with questions. This is the story of a disappearance that uncovered secrets far darker than anyone imagined. Elise was the kind of person you couldn't forget. She had a quiet warmth, the kind that made people feel safe. She grew up in Crestwood, a postcard town tucked between forested hills and winding back roads. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew Elise. She lived with her mom, Dana, and her younger brother, Micah. Her father had died in a boating accident when she was 12. Since then, she'd become the heart of the family, steady, kind, and fiercely loyal. Elise was studying nursing at Pine Ridge Community College. She worked part-time at Haven's Cafe, a popular spot for students and late-night regulars. Her evenings followed a routine: finish her shift, walk to her car, call her mom, and drive home. But on the night of April 18th, something broke that routine. She clocked out at 9:17 p.m., as shown on a security camera above the cafe's rear door. She waved to her coworker, zipped up her hoodie, and disappeared into the misty night. That was the last time anyone saw her. When she didn't come home, Dana called her phone. Straight to voicemail, no text, no updates on social media. Panic set in quickly. The next morning, Dana filed a missing person report. Police didn't move fast. Elise was 22, an adult. Maybe she needed a break. Maybe she'd gone to the coast. Maybe a bad grade, a breakup, or just life had pushed her to disappear on her own. But Dana knew her daughter, and Elise wasn't the type to leave without saying something. Then things turned. The following evening, a teenager walking his dog near the cafe found a phone in the bushes behind the parking lot. The screen was cracked. It was Elise's. There were no fingerprints. The call history had been wiped, but the lock screen still showed a photo: Elise and Micah smiling on the 4th of July. Her purse was later found inside her bedroom. Her car was still parked outside the cafe, locked, keys on the passenger seat. By day 3, the case was turned over to the FBI. Investigators began combing through Elise's last known contacts. Her friends were cooperative. Her co-workers were shaken. And then there was Derek Langley. Derek was 38. He worked maintenance at Pine Ridge Community College. He had a record, non-violent but unsettling. In 2003, he was charged with stalking a fellow student. The charges were dropped. In 2006, he was arrested for trespassing behind a women's dorm, again dismissed. Derek claimed he barely knew Elise. He said he'd seen her on campus, maybe at the cafe once or twice. But witnesses placed him in the alley behind Haven's the night she disappeared. He had no solid alibi, and he didn't seem particularly worried when questioned. But there was no physical evidence, no confession, no body. The case stalled. Then, 2 weeks later, came the break. A hiker named Owen Trask was walking his dog through Pine Hollow, a heavily wooded area about 12 miles outside of Crestwood. The trail was rarely used, but his dog started barking and pulling toward the brush. Owen followed and found a shallow grave. Buried under a layer of moss and leaves were several personal items: Elise's student ID, a pair of earrings her mother confirmed she wore often, and a page torn from a journal, muddy, stained, and almost unreadable. Nearby, carved into the bark of a pine tree, was a single word: listen. No body, no blood, but enough to turn suspicion into something more. Forensic analysis confirmed Elise's fingerprints on the ID and earrings. The journal page was examined, but the ink had bled. Only faint lines remained, indecipherable. With no new leads and still no body, the case grew cold. Years passed. Dana refused to give up. She hired private investigators. She appeared on podcasts. She launched a social media campaign. Every year on April 18th, she held a vigil outside Haven's Cafe, hoping Elise, wherever she was, could still hear her. Then, in 2017, everything changed. A new cold case task force began reviewing files from the Crestwood Police Department. Using updated forensic tools, they reanalyzed the hoodie Elise was last seen wearing. It had been collected from her bedroom, overlooked as evidence in the early days. Under the collar, investigators found a tiny trace of DNA. It matched Derek Langley. He was brought in for questioning again. This time, the mood had changed. Derek claimed Elise had approached him on campus a week before she disappeared. She was worried about walking alone, asked about self-defense tips, and may have hugged him. He wasn't sure. That's how his DNA got on her hoodie, he said. Investigators didn't buy it. Then came the journal page. New UV analysis revealed hidden ink, faint but still legible. It read, "He follows me. I'm scared. If anything happens, tell Mom." In 2018, nearly a decade after Elise vanished, Derek Langley was arrested and charged with kidnapping and first-degree murder. Though her body was never found, prosecutors felt they had enough for a conviction. The trial drew national attention. Dana testified. So did Micah. So did Elise's friends and co-workers. The defense argued that there was no murder without a body, no weapon, no motive, just circumstantial evidence and an old journal page. But the jury disagreed. On August 14th, 2018, Derek Langley was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Dana cried in court. Micah held her hand. Reporters swarmed outside the courthouse. But the truth? There was no closure. To this day, Elise Morgan's body has never been found. Some believe she's buried deep in the forest beyond Pine Hollow. Others wonder if she ever died at all. There are sightings occasionally. A gas station clerk once claimed to see a woman who looked like Elise traveling with a group in Northern California. A camper reported hearing a woman scream Elise's name in a remote part of Crater Lake. Nothing was ever confirmed, but the mystery lingers. Who carved "Listen" into that tree? Why was the journal page buried but not destroyed? And if Derek Langley really was her killer, did he have help? No one can say for sure. What remains is a silence that haunts the people of Crestwood. A mother who still sets a place at the dinner table. A brother who still walks the trail where she vanished. And a town that can't forget the girl who never came home. Elise Morgan was more than a headline. She was a daughter, a sister, a student, a life. And her story is not over. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, consider subscribing, share it, talk about it, keep her name alive. Because sometimes the only way to hear the truth is to listen.